And what I wanted to ask you about the dragon family. How are they involved, and what is going on with them?
Really good question, and I don't frequently answer dragon family questions, but I will now because I'm allowed a different latitude. Okay, the dragon families represent dragon elementals. That means that are thousands of DNA lineages where there are both men and women that allow dragons to come and live in their body temporarily and or permanently in a walk-in, walk-out basis. So the dragon families present a DNA lineage that allows elemental dragons to come and experience what it is to be a human, so that when they leave the human experience, that their dragon work, whatever you want to call it, represents something that the 3D humans can begin to experience. The dragons are the ones that seeded the golds in the mountains because it was their job when the system of domination and control was taking over, and there was an agreement that it needed to be done, and that gold would be the great change of human belief system. And then the dragons began to rescind a lot of that power, and the system of domination and control was able to put them in contractual obligations that was negative to them. So many of the dragon concepts began to dematerialize from Earth and go into other realms, which was what the system wanted. And there were other realms that began to see these dragons leave Earth and sent their dragons here, their elemental sources here, which were dreaming entities from other worlds that began to manifest other concepts like the Oriental dragon myths or the Western dragon myths. And then there was this free importation of dragons from different areas. And this is where the dragon families have been growing through the different martial arts styles or tattooing styles or cultural habits that bring specific families of dragons in and allow them to live in human bodies and be hidden so that they can properly understand the earth, and as well as communicate to other elemental dragon sources so that they can begin altering the system of domination and control, because ultimately that's what the dragon force is here to do, is to dematerialize, de-energize, unfund the system, and then begin to alter the fundamentals of the system so it can be a positive force for good. And then you have the dragon families that aren't so good. Well, that's part of the light and dark path that we're on. There are neutral dragon families and fourth and fifth option dragon families living here on Earth, but they're not consciously a part of this movement of reapplication of sacred heart space. They're waiting for the people to stand up and show that instead of being the leaders. So it's the negative dragons and the positive dragons that are constantly in war, physical war, spiritual war, etheric war, psychic war, trying to make sure that the different cultures are protected, the different concepts are protected. Dragons are also great record keepers, as well as teachers and historians, as well as magicians and hierophants. But they're different. They're not human. They're dragon. They're an elemental force.
Right.
They're a universal elemental force, and sometimes they're very confused, and other times they're so wise and confused that they could really harm people with some of their wisdom. So dragons must be understood. Specific for the dragon families, when we understand a bit of the history about the dragon, we realize there's thousands of different dragon families. Some of them are very wealthy and are trying to play with the Swift system or the sovereignty system, or they're trying to get individual people to step up and take gold deposits to start their own gold-backed deposited banks at a governmental level that sheds off the corporation, when in fact the corporation energy is just another twisted version of a dragon, a very ancient dragon who's been put into the servitude of the system of domination and control. So again, it's the dragon families to allow these dragons to come out of the system of domination and control and invest into human body, go through healing so they can get a new perspective, and then once again change the systems from within. That's saying as long as there's reality programmers out there working with them, because that's what the dragons need. And we are all reality programmers. We just must determine the level of investment in which we do to change this reality.
And